Thus, so, in the beginning of our analysis, Salty, we are both a we are the only two hydrogen protons out there, right? That is just all there is in space. Now, we might smash together, and by the scale of things of what mess that leaves, I mean, maybe 80-20, 50-50, 33 and a third, it just makes an extra rocky body, and that's 10% iron. I don't know. At any rate, that's what happened. Well, that is what is out there. I went out with a magnet, an aluminum magnet, and some lens law, and I found out. Your translation operator for your conjunctive, something, adjacent conjunctive, which is basically to say not 4 point whatever Kelvin, and it is also not negative 273 Kelvin. It's more like negative 272.999 infinity. And it could be 998. And where that floating range is kind of arguable to why Schrodinger's equation breaks down, right? Me and you're the prosecution and defense. We both want to find out what the hydrogen proton did inside of there. I'm just using Navy Astrology's gear, and you're using Lego, and essentially that's the truth. I mean, it can go either way, ultra relativistically, but we still need that neutron star collision, that black hole collision, that neutron star into a black hole collision in terms of its operational momentum, that linear momentum. I forget exactly which term you want to use for it here in MIT, but that's what that's going to be. Because before we get to the whole visualizing a quantum wave function, we are defining at least what's happening here in this little fun moment for bar, and this parallel to it. I'm not really fighting for the MIT teacher nor the science beyond the hydrogen atom. Instead, I'm going to take this Euler's number or this Ingling's value base and determine that from it having its own high or low aspect to it. And from the prosecution or the defense's standpoint, why would I want that as an aspect into society? Why do I think that 2A standard here serves the same as Biden selling weapons to a bunch of countries that then use it to shoot up a bunch of school kids like the parents did their 16-year-old with a gun and then shot up a school, right? It's a little hypocritical, but A is not A in this standpoint, at least by the standards of the total momentum operator in that standpoint. You're going to have a couple of little chops on Disney throughout the day that do that. That shouldn't lead to a freak out because somebody had a bumper sticker, in which case you snap. That's not something that's the general average. That's not something we've accepted as a constitutional model. You would have a right to do that. It didn't hurt somebody, and it was more about a feelings aspect in a Stanford experiment of being Pavlovian dogs on Boy Scout camp. And that may not be your fault, but at the same time, you have to have an ethical objection towards how you ask, that question. Is it badgering or leading in the fact that exactly ask and want, or what is it there? Ask and answer. Eventually, at some point in time, the jury and myself have to meet that client. Right, so whether it's on the stand or whether it's on a phone call for a lawyer, a teacher, a chemist, a business person, that you can be able to pull off this innovative bar. I may not be me. I could say Salty. I could say Sharps. I could say in the operator, you need something that's neither of those things. That is only truly to say that we understand that hydrogen is the lightest element on the periodic table in the form of hydrogen 1, while we're talking about helium 2, 3, and 4. Back to us being that massive collision and the cosmological crisis issue, that says, like, well, what if that fuzziness meant something else? Well, that's not wrong, back to some of that wave operator things, because we see it so conventionally in everyday operations, or again, the operator, the harmonics operator, the translation operator, the mechanic operator. Um, when they specify the supersymmetry of that, and again, the lawyer could, depending on how much time I have, and planned something like that out in terms of our case. Hannibal, a minute an hour, or 6 months, I'm unstoppable, but that means that I understand that I have a hydrogen atom teacher that wants to do that against what that standard is. I can look Prometheus Labs, I can look water treatment, I can do a 45 iterative review that correlates to as much X physics that gives me PSI bars against civilians overall. That might have some probability because of conservations, and the quarry that comes with that is defined as a lot of P's and Q's. A lot of P's and Q's. Catch you on the next one.